And then that ends up, he caught the flu virus.
Right, is the sound actually not working at all, guys? Because I'm under the assumption that everything is working okay here. If someone could just let us know in the comment section. All I wanted to do with this is just literally restream it back through. I've got their volume up. I've got my volume up. So as far as I'm concerned, sound. Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm not even planning on being on this today. I was actually eating a sandwich and just getting some preparation for tomorrow. I just seen that childrenmatter.news was streaming. The sound was fine just then. So if I play this now, guys, have we got sound?
That was enough to send him into intensive care, fighting for his life on a heart, a lung, and a kidney machine. And a few days later, it switched off. The medical staff desperately were searching inside his body to try to find out what virus he had.
I'll leave you to it, guys.
Viruses are not detected. They changed the death certificates. They don't state COVID now unless they're proved that it's COVID. The reason for that is because legally, the legal team started coming in now and they were ready to start suing and naming and shaming doctors that were giving the wrong medication to their patients. Ventilators weren't working. So when you were watching Donald Trump saying hydroquarty, whatever it is, was working, he was 100% right. And he was right because, as I spoke to a radiologist, and I won't name and shame the hospital, but it's one of those I mentioned, she told me she'd seen that many, what she thought was COVID. The rest of them were anything but COVID. They were all viruses they were used to, the normal viruses. My partner died on the 5th of January 2018 in intensive care of coronavirus, the pneumonia one, and his contributing factors were the 2 chemo drugs he'd taken in chemo. Because chemo, if you've ever had chemo, you are very, very vulnerable because chemo drugs strip your immune system. So every time it gets to winter, and there's a possibility of catching a cold or anything, you're vulnerable. That's why they're in the vulnerable group. We are being lied to. The death figures now are normal for this time of year, normal. But we're being lied to, and deliberately, in my opinion, we're moving because they want to give everybody a vaccination. And here you go. That's where we're all being controlled for. The big drug companies. Now, under this hiding and keeping us all in fear, and all with our masks on, we mean goody two-shoes, they're hiding paedophilia. They're hiding everything you can possibly imagine. And I will tell you a little bit about the vaccine company. We fought the vaccine company in the 70s and the 80s. In the mid-80s, we won. We beat the British government into submission, and they had to acknowledge that my brother-in-law, I've got photos of him, his brain damage to the vaccination. He reacted immediately from that vaccination at 9 months old. He went into a convulsion, he went eye rolling and whatever. He was taken to hospital. They were checking him out for food poisoning, whatever. They located it was the vaccine that had done the damage. It was an open shut case. It took 20 odd years to fight the government, and we won. And we got £10,000. There was a woman that fought the drug company for her son. She lived in Ireland. She's called Mrs. Margaret Best. Her son, I think, was called Michael. She fought the drug company. She located the batch of vaccine that her son was injected with. And she used that, and she bought the drug company. She won in 1992 £2.75 million. That's how much the drug company are prepared to pay to keep you quiet. Now, I've got a little baby born on the 4th of April. I'm going back to her now. By the time she was 12 weeks old, a letter came through the door addressed to her. Dear Miss, blah, 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 you have missed 8 vaccines. 12 weeks old, you've missed 8 vaccines. The worst decision you can make is to vaccinate your children. And what I will say to you now is this COVID vaccine will probably not come till next year. Hospitals are telling out, hospitals not opening till June 2021. Fully. I will tell you that. The COVID vaccine probably won't be out until next year. But guess what you'll all have in September after 2 years? The flu vaccine. Now, the flu vaccine has, every year, the flu vaccine, they change the viruses in the flu vaccine because they're not sure which flu might be the killer this year. Well, I've got a good idea what the killer might be this year. So guess what's going to be in your flu vaccines, everyone? Now, if you want to take it, your decision. But personally, this is why I'm stood up here. I'm opening my big job because I can't watch people dying. I feel my moral and ethical and physical duty to tell you what I know. And that's why I'm up here. And this is truth. Now, if you want to know where I come from, my background is I'm a teacher. I'm a high school teacher. So when they have been plaguing us with all these statistics, this person could never work out the R rate. Do you know what the R rate is? It's made up. It means nothing. It's a load of rubbish. And I'll tell you what happened with Leicester when Leicester had its lockdown. An imam did a service. A funeral service with over 200 people. The police came in on that because it was like an illegal rave. He shouldn't have done it. So in order to stop prosecuting him, they basically made him, you could say, have a test. Now he has no symptoms whatsoever and he went for the test. But he'd done the funeral already. He went for the test and he was positive. They then wanted to locate all 200 people at the funeral. They could only really locate the family of the person that had died, which was about 30 of them. The other 170 people they didn't manage to locate. If they don't manage to locate you with a track and trace, by default, you go down as positive. The more positive, the more lockdown. Can you see the lies? If anybody with a brain in their head's got to see these lies. Surely to God, these lies. They're so openly in your face. And just avoid it at all. The test is not compulsory. You do not have to have it. I've got two friends actually. This is why I know so much about hospitals, because they're on the cancer journeys. And basically, 3 times during her cancer journey, she's been asked to come in for a COVID test. I have told her 3 times to say no, right? It's not compulsory. Because if she said yes when she had that test and it tested positive, her cancer journey would stop. and she'd have to start it again. It's taken her 20 weeks so far. This is somebody with cancer. My partner went from stage 2 to stage 3 in 12 weeks. We're going to have mass murders this year, but it's not going to be the virus. It's going to be through, and I'm going to say it now, it is neglect by the National Health Service. Neglect. And it's not their fault, because somebody higher up than them is telling them they can't do this and they can't do that. It's their jobs. Now, to me, it might be family, some of them. That's why I'm not mentioning them. I've got things, and I've got to protect them. But, right, it is going on. In London, I believe it's been a huge success. If you've seen pictures, it's been huge. And there's been doctors speaking out. So I'm just fingers crossed that more and more very, very brave doctors speak out and tell Boris Johnson, we've had enough. We've had enough. Right? Protect your loved ones. No vaccines. Please, no vaccines. And do not have a test. That's what I'm saying to you. Right? Good luck to everybody. We're all in this together. Power to the people. Somebody once said to me, it's true, and I keep pushing on Facebook, we are the many, they are the few. If we get together, don't divide. It's nothing to do with colour, race, creed, nothing. Black Lives Matter was a distraction. Everything else is a distraction. This is our number one thing. Keep together, keep our power together. If we divide, they can conquer us. Together, we are the many. We have power. Power to us.
Okay, my glamorous assistant Sue is going to come around taking questions of you, because she tells me that a lot of people would like to ask questions but are too shy to come and speak on the microphone. I just want to ask a few questions just so we can just chew on, reflect on what. Oh yeah, put your hand up if you would like Sue to make a note of a question that you may have, and she'll come and make a note of it. Okay, let's try and apply a bit of logic here, a bit of common sense. Okay, if masks work, why do we need to social distance? If social distancing works, why do we need a mask? If both work, why do we need a lockdown? If lockdowns work, why do we need a vaccine? If vaccines are safe and effective and work, why does the company that provides them need an indemnity clause that means we can't sue them for vaccine injury or death? I'm only asking. And when you ask your sovereign, ask as king. Ask more questions, folks. Now, why are people not asking? Why are people not asking more questions? 4 possible reasons why people who wear masks and buy into the mainstream narrative nonsense. 4 possible reasons. Firstly, they're too knackered from working too hard. They can't do the research. They haven't got time and they're too tired. Okay? Too knackered. They'd love to know the truth, but for now they're going to believe the BBC because they've put the microwave dinner on and that's all they've got. You just want to flop on the sofa and soak up the so-called truth from the telly. The other reason they might believe the nonsense is that they are programmed to believe it. They went to school and they learned to trust the teacher and they learned to trust the man in a white coat. Now, the problem I have with that is that, as I said on the rally, when we were walking around town, the woman behind mask wearing is not a professor of respiratory medicine. She is a professor of psychology. Does anyone smell a little rat there? Or is it just me? Am I being paranoid? The third reason that people are very reluctant to be open to the truth is that they're just scared to death. Frightened that what they've believed to be true is no longer true, and therefore their entire life makes no sense anymore. And they wouldn't be able to cope with that very well. That's understandable to a large degree. It really is. You know, that's why the truth hurts. And the final category of people that are not awake to the truth They're in La La Land. They've been pampered. Their life has been made too easy. They've never suffered. So the truth, they're above the truth. They're not interested. That's for conspiracy theorists. Freak shows who just walk the streets with a megaphone trying to tell people to wake up. It's not for them. They're still going for their luxury dinners and having luxury holidays. They're not interested in the truth. It's not going to make their life any better. Now, I have to say something about the vaccine, following on from what Margaret is saying, is the latest science, the latest discoveries coming through, that the vaccine, according to my understanding, is targeted against the human Homo sapiens chromosome 8. Chromosome 8 is the chromosome that determines your intellect and your ability to fight off cancer. So if they need to reduce the population, and that plan is a known, it's public domain plan, it's not conspiracy theory, it's a fact. Look up the Georgia Guidestones. Okay, there's a prediction for a population of 500 million. If you go on deagle.com, that's DEAGLE.com, the predicted population of the United Kingdom by 2025, according to deagle.com, is 15 million. How are they going to get rid of 50 million people in 5 years, folks?
No, I can confirm that. There's
Why
going to
would
be
they
a
want
video
to?
that I'll be doing.
Just ask yourself these questions. That's the plan. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen, because with rallies like these, Berlin, Los Angeles, Trafalgar Square, Manchester next week, we're back next week, we're going to have all the people back that went to London, so there'll be at least 100 more people next week here, and maybe hundreds on top of that, because Berlin, Los Angeles, and Trafalgar Square are going to galvanize people into coming back out on the streets until this nonsense is sorted out. So this vaccine, according to my understanding, is targets our ability to fight cancer. If you believe that there are other factors that give us cancer, like electromagnetic frequencies, poor food, lifestyle and food choices, stress, good grief, stress, being in the wrong marriage at the wrong time. How could you be in the wrong marriage at the right time? I'm just thinking about it. Okay, stress, all these cancer-causing factors. Well, most of them you can see off because you've got chromosome 8 working overtime. But if the vaccine takes out your chromosome 8, then you're going to struggle. And maybe this is one reason why they're predicting a lot of people to have cancer. Virtually everyone is predicted to have cancer by 2050. Just let that one sink in. Now, I'm not here to scare anyone. I'm not here to spread fear. I'm just waking you all up to the fact that obviously most people here, I'd be amazed if anyone here would take a vaccine for any reason whatsoever, especially now that you know that your body is capable of fighting all disease. If you're not stressed, if you're not obeying the work ethic, if you love what you do, if you love your life, if you love the people around you, if you breathe fresh air, and if you're wearing a mask, you're not breathing fresh air. So you're boosting your immune system with fresh air. There is no way on earth that you can get cancer. There are other techniques. Gentle exercise, detox, drink pure water. Don't do anything. If you do exercise, don't overstrain yourself. Respect yourself, love yourself. It's self-love, the antidote to all this nonsense. Mask nonsense, COVID nonsense, vaccine nonsense. The antidote is self-awareness, self-consciousness, and self-love. There's no need to be angry with anyone. Most of them have no idea what harms they're involved with. They're just, as Margaret says, they're just doing their job. Where I slightly differ from Margaret is, although I agree it's not their fault, it's very much their responsibility to put right, to actually awaken, to just wake up to what's going on. That doesn't take too much doing. And to start to put things right, to blow some whistles, and to make decisions that are compassionate to other people
Yeah.
and not just think about the mortgage payments, because we've already shown, I can't demonstrate it here, but if you go online, you'll see what I mean, mortgage payments which shouldn't be paid anyway. So people are giving reasons to do what they do, which are actually phantom reasons. They're not real. Okay? So, I have a young friend. Terry, did you want to do a poem? A short poem from Terry, who today is fully clothed, and he's not going to swear. He's promised not to swear. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, could you give Terry a big hand, please?
Greetings, Manchester. One love. Let me all hear you say, one love. After three. 1, 2, 3. Short poem. Share. Share, share, share. You can be locked down or open up. The choice is simply yours. You can rise or fall, smile or bawl. The mind has many doors. One love.
Thank you, Terry. Is there anybody else who wanted to make a contribution to the cause of truth? Otherwise, we'll start winding down. Thank you. It's starting to rain, so we'll need to wind up. Don't want to get you too wet. Thank you for coming again. Remember, we're here every Saturday. We go on we meet up at St. Peter's Square. We go for a walk. We spread some joy and truth and humour and love. Oh, hello. Someone wants to talk. Let me just finish the advert. We're back here every Saturday, and we're now on the road around the northwest. So tomorrow I'm in Macclesfield at the Treacle Market, and then next Sunday, Saturday's Manchester, Sunday's Liverpool. It's the same time and place every week. It's St. Peter's Square, 2 o'clock for a walk, and then we gather here at 2:30. Right. Maureen, yeah. Round of applause for Maureen, who would like to make a contribution.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's lovely to see everybody. I just wanted to say something very simple and short. I became awake about 10 years ago, so I came in through the money thing. So we're all coming from different directions. So we're not all sort of au fait with every single thing that's going on with regards to the elite and the 1%. Basically, just 4 weeks ago, because of all this mask business, I thought I needed to get out and meet people. And you know what? I'm so empowered. Just 4 weeks ago, okay, with meeting people, met so many people face to face, smiling and hugging, and it means so much to me because I'm starting to get depressed. So I just wanted to say, please keep coming every week as I've been doing this last 4 weeks. That's all I want to say for the moment. Cheers.
Okay, thank you very much, Maureen. Got some questions from the audience. One is about mask wearing at work. How will it affect me at work if I refuse to wear a mask? Well, don't refuse anything. Offer them a conditional acceptance. Yes, I'm happy to wear a mask if you can prove that it will actually do any good. And if you can also show me that it won't interrupt my oxygen flow and cause hypoxia and hypercapnia. If they still don't play ball, then hit them with the Discrimination Act, the Equality Act. Okay, discriminate against someone for their beliefs and opinions is an offence under the Equality Act. And if they have a disability, and we all have a breathing disability potentially, if you put a sock in your mouth, you've got a disability. Yeah, and there's also there's other factors. And don't let them point a gun at you. The temperature gun is a military weapon. If you have to have a gun pointed at you, why is it a gun? This is a military psyop. Point it at the wrist. If they point it at your forehead, they're destroying your pineal gland. That's your connection to higher truth. Okay? Destroy the pineal gland and you will believe anything because you've no longer got a moral compass. Right, so we're here again next Saturday. I think there was one other question. I think one was, what is coronavirus? What is coronavirus? I'll tell you what it is. It's a myth. That's what it is. Viruses here, friends. It's a BBC. It's a media-driven scamdemic. If you don't believe me, then you might believe the 640 Doctors for Truth that came out. They had a symposium, international, supra-parliamentary. Supra means they had to go over the heads of their own governments to come together, international symposium, 640 international doctors who concluded unanimously that this whole nonsense is a hoax. It's a psychological operation. And I think I've explained why you might fall for it. A lot of people, they haven't fallen for it, but they're complying because they think that it would be not considerate, like the couple that I've met in the park recently in the forest. A man, a woman, a boy and a dog heard me coming from behind them and they all got out of the way. Even the dog got out of the way. And I thought, if the dog is getting out of the way, we're in trouble. And as I got level to them, I said, why have you got out of my way? I said, don't you know that this is all nonsense? They said, yes, we do, but we didn't know that you did. So everyone is second guessing everyone. We've got husbands complying because they don't want to upset the wife. We've got children complying because the parents say you got to comply, but the parents don't know why they're saying they've got to comply. It's a globalized insanity, folks. So keep coming out on the streets and let's spread some sanity. Sanity, like common sense, is going out of fashion. We need to bring it back in. Are we happy about that? Are we agreed? Do you want to bring some sanity and common sense back in? Show of hands. Come on, give me a round of applause for sanity and compassion and common sense. Yeah, okay, good point. Yeah, the people are doing the policing for the police. We're policing ourselves. Not right. Not right, not clever, not funny. Okay, thank you very much.
I'll go find this on YouTube again.
Okay, listen, it's starting to rain, so please, whatever you say, make it brief, yeah? Come on.
Hey guys, I just want to go into a bit more depth about coronavirus being a hoax because a lot of people get confused. It isn't a hoax. It's a real virus that's being exaggerated and engineered to spread to humans. It was not supposed to. It was from bats. It spread between them. It's been engineered to transfer between humans, and it's also being exaggerated. Why are they lying about the death statistic? I mean, the overall statistic is a complete lie. The UK government took 30% of the infection rate off a couple weeks ago. Then they proceeded to take 10% of the death rate off. Let me tell you now, 10% doesn't even cover half of it, guys. We're looking more at 50, 60, 70%. Why has nobody died from the flu? Barely anybody's dying of cancer. I know people that have died in car crashes, in accidents, and they've been put down as COVID-related deaths. Why are they doing this? You have to look further and realize they're trying to install fear in us, anxiety for a reason. And what is that reason? My research has led me to believe that the vaccine is going to do the opposite of what it said it's going to do. There is no long-term research on this study, and if you watch the video of Bill Gates, he says the long-term effects, we can't study that because we can't go further than 2 years. That's the time we've got. I think this vaccine is the real pandemic. This is what's going to actually hit us. It's going to 7 billion people, apparently. It's very smart if you think about it. What? Yeah, they want to wipe out a lot of people. And there's basically, it's economic overpopulation. The lead scientists think we're going to be overpopulated in 2050. So this is a big depopulation happening right now under our noses, and they don't want us to know, and they're doing it behind the guise of coronavirus. I actually know somebody that works in a testing facility down south. She said they get, in fact, let me get it up because I'll read you the real statistics. Hang on. Facts. All of this is facts, by the way. Okay. So, this is info from an anonymous employee at a regional test center. The center is paid per completed test. Bad idea. If the test center clears all tests, people up top get bonuses. There's no photos taken inside the facility and therefore no media outbreak. There's 20 boxes per day and around 80 tests per box. That's 1,600 tests per day, every single day. And that doesn't account for the ones in the bays at the start of the shift. There's around 500 cars a day average for testing, so about 800 to 1,000 people a day. What happens to the 600 unused tests at the end of every day? The staff are in different tiers. Yellow is general staff, blue are the supervisor, pink is managers, and then there are security jackets and military. When a patient is scanned, they're assigned a number in the system. At check-in, the staff scan the QR code, they access online the reg, name, date of birth, address. Long story short, guys, at the end of the day, there's members of the Yellow Jackets that will take the unused tests into a bay, and then they take them off to the COVID drop-off point, which is where the used test goes at the end of the day. Multiple employees are saying about this. One of the employees took a photo of the bit of paper with 20 positives on it because he recognized one of the names on a positive. He Googled it and it was a man down his street that actually died years ago. So from this knowledge, they're using dead people basically for these fake positives, which that's then going to put more fear into us. It's going to separate us more. They're basically trying to divide us into two categories, ones that comply with the government and the free thinkers. And that's probably all of you guys here today. Not a lot of you are wearing masks. Take them off. They reduce your oxygen intake. They make you more sick. And to be honest, if we use a little bit of critical thinking, how on earth does it make sense that the virus can escape the mask, but it can't? No, the virus can't escape the mask, but it can enter it. When I'm not wearing a mask, why am I getting dirty looks? I mean, if you're wearing a mask, surely you're protected from me. It doesn't make sense. Any logical thinker will be able to figure that one out. Anyway, guys, I know I'm not supposed to be on here for long, but it goes deeper. But yeah. Thank you.
Come back next week. We're here every week at 2 o'clock St. Peter's Square for do something. The last thing I'll say is where we go one, we go all. Where we go one, we go all. For those of you who understand that, that's a message from America. Where we go one, we go all. Okay? Thank you again. See you next week. Okay, thank you.
Right. And that's it, guys.
Are you going around that one?
Hopefully the numbers will improve next week. People
Right, guys. On the screen there.
I guess because
Thanks
of
for watching. Thanks for watching, and then I'll catch you again.
I guess because of where it is, you've got a lot of things going on anyway. But that was good. Well done to Stuart, who's representing childrenmatter.news, who's down there in Manchester. Very spontaneous. I just thought I'd just link it across while I'm getting on for other things. And someone actually put, he doesn't look impressed. No, I was just engrossed. That's me kind of just watching face. I was actually impressed with what they were talking about. If there's anything that I'm unimpressed about, it's this theme, this overall feeling that just basically boils down to depopulation in many different facets. That's the thing that seems to be becoming more and more evident with all these arguments. And we've always fought it, I guess, but I guess because we've been too worried on a localized level what's been going on, the COVID has accelerated the fact that depopulation is a real thing. It is happening. There are cover-ups that are going on to suggest that they feel more people are dying of COVID, but in reality they're not. There's just so many different things that are wrong. And whilst that chap, no mention on the BBC, well, mate, Robert, you know what it's going to be like. You know they're not going to cover this. I think there's an awakening of different paradigms here, and particularly what I'm seeing, whether this is some kind of funky event just to get everyone hee-hawing and then get them into a cul-de-sac. If that's not the case, this movement seems to spell the rise of the centrist, the rise of what could be the majority of the people in this country that could possibly make a change, not with anger, but just with wisdom and consciousness. It's going to take a lot, because you can hear there people are being woke up as they're joining the march, as well as they're on their own journey in different levels as well. So it's a start of something. Who knows? I'm going to go to it next week, certainly. But I wanted to, before I get going, because I'm glad that you've got to see that at least. There was something that chap with the flat cap had mentioned. Is it this? Yeah, is it? Yeah. Right, I don't know if you can see that, guys. Are we on there? Yeah, we're on. Right, okay. What you're looking at is what that chap had mentioned earlier. It was deagle.com. I'm in the process of doing a video or a stream about this with Jason from the A-Team. I was alerted about this several weeks ago. There was some geezer in America who covered it, and there's going to be a whole story as to what this is. This is a military arms website, and basically they've done a forecast we'll start in the forecast from 2017 up to 2025. And within that forecast, they've itemized and they've forecast, and they're telling people that there's going to be many millions of people that are going to die worldwide. That whether they're putting it down, whatever event they're putting it down, I think they're trying to intimate could be a flood. I think that was one of the possibilities. But the figures that they've used are bona fide figures from, I think it was the UN, the EU, NATO, the CIA, the FBI. It's got all the alphabets in there that they're getting these figures from. Now, I'd love to know each independent body there if they all feel the same as to why we've got such a dramatical drop in the global population. We can see with different things that go on around the world, it now makes sense. You know, they could cure cancer, but they don't cure cancer. In England, I think I was researching a few weeks ago, there was 450 people a day dying of cancer in England. Globally, who knows? So that's scratched that off. You know, there's so many different ways where you do feel that man can help man to prosper, but they're not. They're quite happy to watch them demise and die for their own gain or their own agenda. It's so sad. So before I get going, I'm just going to run through this a little section. This is obviously England. You've got a population of 66 million, yeah? And then you can see it breaks down all the different surface density, you know, the GDP, gross domestic product, the power purchase, what the individual gets to spend, the budget, defense budget, you know, it breaks it all down, yeah? Gets to the forecast for 2025, look at that, the drop in population. We've gone from 66 million to 15 million. You've got the real GDP, yeah, which has gone from 2.9 trillion down to 132 billion. You've got your power purchase parity, which is what the purchasing power of the individual. Yeah, you've got that 43,600 gone down to 9,000, and defense budget 1.4 billion. And then 56 billion. So why, when you've got such a population drop? Does your defense budget rise exponentially? Get on that one. So this is something that I will be talking with extensively with Jason. Well, this is it, my friend. They're basing it on possibly a flood, but it had to be a flood of biblical proportions. So what can create that flood of biblical proportions? You're talking possibly an asteroid or something. I don't know. These are whole hypotheses. I can't honestly say. But at the same time, it doesn't mean to say that it could be a flood. It could be anything. Anything. Bearing in mind, you've got the Georgia Guidestones that wants to get you down to 500 million. And that is astro-aligned granite. I think there was about $750,000 paid for that to be erected. So someone meant business. 500 million. So when we do this video, we'll run through the different countries and all the ways that the population's gone down, and in some ways defense budget's gone up, and what that may mean, and maybe talk about the different elements and possibilities that could create that. But as you know, to lose a global population of that proportion, America on this study went from, I think it was 338 million down to 100 million. 100 million. Now you say maybe war, David? Maybe. I mean, what kind of war? What kind of war? You're talking button pushing war, and you don't know. The scary thing is, this was only made between 2017 to 2025. We're slap bang in the middle of it in a sense, because we're 5 years away from it. And they only kind of forecast this 8 years ago, or in, you know, an 8-year kind of projection. So why, if they know that these figures are going to drop, why aren't they building Noah's boat now? Why aren't they telling people, if it is going to be a flood of mass proportions, why aren't they now getting people from lower lands raising them up? Why are they not trying to discover new lands that will be protected from what is incoming? There's nothing. No one's talking about this. And you talk about a defense military website that is telling you that their forecast that has been given from credited agencies, that we're going to lose the best part of 50 million people within 5 years, and no fuckers talking about it. Jason and I have been talking. Jason has worked constantly overboard on it, probably too much. Jason is ultimately trying to find the golden answer, as in, what is the benefit, who benefits, and what it is. We don't know whether we can answer that question. So we've got to just kind of present it in a way and leave people to make their own conclusions as to what's going on. But you talk about depopulation, and then you think to yourself, all them people that spoke about depopulation back in the day that were regarded tinfoil hats and you're crazy, and now they're not crazy, are they? They're not crazy now. And even the most centralist liberal individual will have to concede that there is something going on, whether you want to know it or not, whether you like to know it or not, whether you feel you can negate it or not. It is happening, and it's happening real life, and probably as ever with disasters. The people who get it the most are the most vulnerable people in society. You know what I mean? And that's what's really sick about this. That's when you really, if you're not woke, this could actually turn you into severe depression with that knowledge of that. Whether it happens or not, I'm not here screaming saying it's going to happen. It's a goddamn forecast that's on a website that is a accredited website that builds military arms. And we're talking bombs, we're talking drones, we're talking aircraft carriers. They will build whatever the fuck you want. So they mean business. So anyway, guys, gonna get going. Hope you've enjoyed that little bit. Probably civil war, mate. You might be right. Could be a multitude of reasons, but it's a massive number. massive number. And then you've got to consider the countries that don't suffer the big depopulation. Is there a reason why they didn't suffer that? Or is it just pot luck because of their located, where they're located geographically, freaking hell. But there's many different factors here. So I don't want to kind of scream from the mountains at anything, but at the same time, you got to say it. So I'm glad he mentioned that, because Jason was only talking to me last week about he's nearly ready with his figures. He's going to throw over some screenshots. We're going to load it up. It's not going to be the happiest stream, but it's going to be a productive, informational, informative stream. That's what we're hoping anyway. So, yes, David. Cheers, bro. Yeah, I mean, I've just ended up on a tangent about that, and I don't want to talk about that too much because I want to save that for when we get with Jason, because we're going to lay it all down, break it all down. And I've got to say, Jason, well done, mate. Thank you for the work you've done with that. And thank you to Simon for sending me the original link as well to that. Right, okay. I shall consider that. But guys, I'm going to bid you a good day. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going to start my pilgrimage up to Preston at some point tomorrow. It'd be perfect if the weather stayed exactly how it is now. Is it raining? I don't think it is. As long as it stays like this, should be a good ride. Fingers crossed, I get there okay, and there's no kind of complications. I'll possibly do a little stream and see what information I've gained as to what's going on in Preston tomorrow if I spoke to anyone. So nice one, guys. Thank you for your presence as ever. Thank you to new and old subbers. I love you all. I really do, guys. Thanks a lot. Make the most of your life, yeah? And don't let this information ruin your connection on a cosmic level with any individual. Love you all, even the pissing haters. Thank you, childrenmatter.news.
I love you. 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 I love you.
Even the pissing haters.
I love you. I love you. I love you.